Good morning. Today's game is the Crossbow game. So let's go over and take a look. So we have a station at which each player has a real crossbow and their own personal target. This game has a total of 5 stations, as you can see. Now I have to stress something, this is important. These are real crossbows, they're not toys. They're actually very dangerous. Because of that, we request that these prods or bows, whatever you want to call this, these are sanded down significantly. When you purchase them, they come with a bow that's quite powerful, but we can't use them here because it's dangerous and it would go right through that wall possibly, or very deeply into it and pose a hazard to the people working on the other side of that wall. So for the sake of safety and convenience and necessity, we have these sanded down to a point where there may be 20 pounds at the most, around there, 20-25 pounds at the most, and that's more than adequate for this type of game. You don't need long distance. In addition to that, it's imperative that these things are chained down. Under no circumstances should you ever operate this game if you're uncertain about the fasteners, because you can have tragedy happen here when you start giving guests weapons and allow those weapons to become unbound, and we don't need that. So other than that, that's just a safety issue. The other issue with this game is the strings. Now you can see this white substance here. What that substance is wax, and this is the wax over here. And the purpose of this is to save your string from getting torn up upon the rails here, and it also allows the string to slide very smoothly and snap out very crisply. And as I said, what we do is we apply the wax usually in the morning before we open along the rails, just like this, and on the string as well to help preserve it. After a while the strings do start to go, and when you start seeing these strands snap, what we typically will do is, if it doesn't look like the string is going to break, we'll still reuse it, but only for a short period of time, and we put heat shrink over this to protect it. But after a certain point, this has to be replaced, otherwise it will snap while the guest is playing it. The other issue we have with these games is these trigger guards here. They seem to get snapped a lot, and I'm not sure why that happens, maybe just abuse. So I'm replacing these quite a bit. Here's one of the trigger mechanisms that I took out to show you what it looks like inside. Very interesting. Occasionally, because these have springs here for the keeper, or whatever you want to call that piece here, that piece has a spring on it, and eventually that will snap too. So every once in a while you end up replacing these. As far as the sights go, we preset them to what we believe is an appropriate setting, and we lock them in place. I have to admit, we are using adhesives now, because very often guests were fiddling around with the sights and basically destroying them and losing the parts, so we can't have that any further. Now, I just want to show you one of the bolts. Okay, this is designed for crossbow use. It's not designed to be used in a regular bolt. And there's the tip. These are target tips, and every once in a while these tips will get munged up, and you can fix that by putting this tip in a cordless drill, spinning it up, putting your safety glasses on, and then putting a file here and just filing that sharp, getting it back to where it was. But that's only if it's really banged up. The other issue is these are the fletchings, and we repair these ourselves. This isn't one I've done, but I have to stress, after a while these fletchings get wrinkled from the use, and when they get to be like this, I don't really think that's a very good arrow. I can't guarantee that's going to fly straight with all of that. So these will be removed, and we clean it, sand it, and put on brand new ones to get the most use out of our arrows. I mean, after a certain point, these shafts too will get bent. Now we're just going to go inside and take a look at the target. These are your typical archery targets, which are available at any archery store. And because of the heavy use, they're double-sided. And the way they're designed is they're on a rail system here. I'm just going to back up so you can see it if I don't bonk my head. Okay, so each station has a rail. And why is that? Well, that's so the operator sits back here and pulls this bag back so they can retrieve the target and see if the guest has won. The way this game works is it is fundamental, again, that the operator is the one that operates this and not the guest. Now, occasionally what does go on these things is, because of the way they're built, they have nuts and bolts and things come loose. So occasionally some maintenance is necessary on these, but it's not all the time. The reason that happens is because due to the popularity of this game, it gets very busy up here. So the operators, they just let the bag fly into the back here, and that loosens things up. It's not a big deal or crime of the century. Here's a little target I set up just for myself. Let's see if I can hit it. Well, that we'll just tip it down a bit, and we'll see what I can do. So again, the operator is the one that loads and maintains all control on the weapon. We pull it back, cock it like this. We take our arrow, always making sure that this is the end that goes down into the channel of the weapon. For the safety. It's stuck right now. See what I can do. Not too bad. Okay. Now I have to stress, I have a lot of practice, and this isn't a game that people can just pick up the weapon and shoot accurately from the get-go. It usually takes a few tries to understand how these weapons function. But if you have the time and patience, you should be able to do this. Other than that, it's one of the few shooting games we have left, because shooting games are becoming politically incorrect. And please excuse me for even saying that comment. Anyways, I want to thank you people for your time and your interest. Cheers.